In May of this year, 2025, Kathy Tu, who is a friend and is the executive producer of the podcast 99% Invisible, who's a brilliant storyteller and is one of the founding hosts and producer of the fantastic podcast Nancy, posted something on Instagram that caught my attention. She wrote, and I quote, "If you don't know, I've been obsessed with reading/listening to women-loving women romance novels this year. As of today," this was in May, everyone, "I'm over 50 books for the year 2025. Do I do anything else now? No, just romance novels." Obviously, I was super happy for Kathy, and obviously I can relate. We started Hot and Bothered in 2018 when I was in a very similar place with romance novels. I was anxious about our recent presidential election and US politics and climate change. So I totally immersed myself in the fantasy world of romance novels and came to treat them as a sacred practice and a way to stay engaged and politically motivated and still take care of myself and believe in love and hope. And even though our current season of Hot and Bothered is about romantic movies, not romantic novels, I am still really interested in the things that romance novels can do for us. And obviously, I think that these two things are in conversation with one another. But what's special about romance novels is that they are written and published faster than movies are made. They don't need a studio's approval. Often they are self-published, so there's more room for them to speak to our current moment, urgently, to speak to niche audiences, for you to find the exact hockey, queer, teacher-student, close proximity love that you want. And right now, there are more queer romance novels being written than ever before. Our next mini-season of Hot and Bothered is all about queer romantic movies. But before we turn to the movies, I wanted to talk to Kathy about her current obsession and what she's seeing in the books that she's reading. I'm Vanessa Zoltan, and this is Hot and Bothered. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Vanessa. It's so good to see you, hear you, see you.
You see me. It's okay.
Yeah.
I actually think it's really important that everyone listening know that you are particularly glowing today. You are always beautiful, but
Thank
I just
you.
want everyone to know that we all have our glowing days and they should be celebrated. So you posted on Instagram that all I do now, I don't do anything else. I haven't fed or walked my dog in months.
Nope.
I
Nope.
am not working anymore.
Nope.
Stop showering. All I do is read women-loving women romance novels. Is this still true?
It's still true. You can check my story graph. I am on book 80-something as of like January of this year. It started January of this year. As of now, I'm like 80-ish in, and I'm not slowing down. I'm not slowing down, Vanessa.
What is that? That's like 3 books a week.
It's a lot of books a week, and I'm honestly kind of surprised sometimes that they go by so fast, because some of them are short, but like plenty of them are in like the 300 to 400 page, which I think is like a decent length of book, right? I don't know.
That's a book. That's a full book. That's a lot of reading. Okay, what started this immersion and what do you love about these books? And don't worry, I just want to say to our audience, don't worry, we're going to make Kathy give us recommendations. I could just feel people's anxieties. And I was like, don't worry, guys, it's coming. It's coming.
Okay, so how it started was over winter break, a friend and coworker, Vivian, shout out to Vivian, she recommended this book to me called How to End a Love Story by Yulin Kuang.
I loved that book.
I also loved that book, but the thing that happened was I thought she was recommending to me a queer romance novel.
Oh.
So I was reading that being like, when is the queer going to happen?
Sure.
And then she said, oh, that's not the queer one. Sorry. That's the one where like a Chinese American woman and her immigrant parents like need to like work through some stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That's why I had to read that one.
This was for my Chinese American immigrant parent class, not my queer romance class. Okay, sorry. Wrong syllabus.
So then she's like, okay, well, the actual one that is queer is Count Your Lucky Stars by Alexandria Bellefleur, I think is how her last name is pronounced. And I was hooked, immediately hooked.
Yeah.
And also, just for like some context, before this, I don't think I've read a single book for like 5 years outside of like friends' books that I felt like, gotta read to like be able to recommend to people. But outside of that, nothing for fun, nothing at all. So I read Count Your Lucky Stars and I was like, oh, this is a thing that just exists in the world. I'm sorry. I did not know this.
Yes.
And I think before this, I didn't really know what a romance novel was.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a love story. So I just assumed that I had read these before, but I had not, clearly. I also thought that all romance novels were straight. So here I am, mind blown. From then on, I kind of just devoured, or as my partner likes to say, I've been mainlining them like drugs.
Yeah.
And so here I am. What do I like about them? I think my favorite thing about them is that it's like reliving the beginnings or the honeymoon period of a relationship over and over and over again, which as somebody in a long-term relationship, comes and goes. Like sometimes we're kind of there and sometimes we're not. But with these books, it's all different situations, and based on the ones that I normally read, which are modern day, I haven't really dipped into fantasy or historical queer romance novels. 99% of them end up with a happy ending.
Well, 100% of them should.
Well, there was a couple that were kind of vague.
Happy for now. HFNs instead of HEAs.
They were kind of more like happy, but there's going to be other issues going on, but generally happy.
I love two things about what you said. One, I love this distinction that you made from, you were like, it reminds me of the beginning of a relationship. No, the honeymoon period of a relationship. Because correct, those are different. The beginning of relationships are really stressful. You're like, do they like me as much as I like them? Is this going to blow up in my face? But the honeymoon phase.
Exactly.
So, thank you for making that very important distinction. And two, it just occurred to me that maybe we love dogs and romance novels for the same reason. Like, I've never gotten out of the honeymoon phase with my dog, and I feel like that's probably true for you too.
Yeah, that is true. She might not be in the honeymoon period with me, but I am with her.
Oh, but that's fine. The romance novels don't love us back.
They should.
They should.
I think also I really love learning all different kinds of professions through these books. I've learned about maple syrup production, aviation. I've learned about PR, veterinary medicine. I spent an entire day thinking I was going to become a vet and then ending up being like, I can't take the prereqs for this, so I'm just not going to do that. Puppetry. Oh my God. Like, I've learned a lot.
It used to really annoy my ex-husband because I would know things like pretty in depth. And he'd be like, why do you know that? And I'd be like, well, they talked about it in a romance novel.
Exactly.
I was like, these women do their research. Like,
they do.
There was a mini article about the history of how women get written off of scientific experiments in the 19th century in the middle of bringing down the Duke. I don't know what to tell you. I now know this.
I fully agree. In fact, the whole veterinary medicine thing, my partner was very supportive. And I was like shocked by how supportive she was. She's like, you can do whatever you want. If you want to go to school, back to school again for yet another degree, sure, we will work it out. Until I said, okay, well, in this veterinary romance novel that I'm reading, and then she's like, I'm going to stop you right there. You're getting this idea from your romance novels. And I was like, it's a series of them, actually. So they're all vets and they're all gay and they're all together with each other. So, yeah.
It's not like it was just from one novel. Did that convince her?
No, she was pretty against it. Yeah. But it didn't matter at that point because I had already decided that I couldn't take the prereqs to make this happen.
Sure.
Anyway. Yeah.
Sure. Why are spouses such haters about the way that we learn? We all agree that it's okay to learn about the Revolutionary War from Hamilton. Why isn't it okay to learn about veterinary medicine from romance novels? I don't understand.
Exactly. Yes. This is, we get each other.
I know.
We always have. We always have.
I know. Okay. So what are some of the go-to tropes of queer romance?
So forced proximity, I think, is the most common one that I end up reading. Basically, any sort of situation where two characters have to interact in some way together. Physically,
they work at the same vet office.
They work at the same vet office, for example.
They're both in the same wedding party.
Oh my God, the wedding party ones. Yeah. I learned a lot about wedding planning, too.
Did not want to become a wedding planner, though.
And then I would say, like, having to do a fake relationship of some sort to help each other out is pretty common. This is sort of also forced proximity, but like an enemies to lovers situation. There's like an ice queen, and then there's like the happy-go-lucky person that melts the heart of the ice queen. And
yes.
And then maybe, okay, this might be unique to the queer women ones, but like sometimes there's the straight best friend that then discovers that they're queer sort of in the middle of this whole thing. And then they get together.
And they fall in love?
They fall in love. Actually, one of my favorite books is that trope. And I love it to death.
What's that one called?
That one is called When You Least Expect It by Haley Cass, who's one of my favorite authors. But are those the same ones that are in straight ones, though? Or the straight novels?
Yeah, totally. The fake relationship thing is interesting to me because I have read some queer romance. I would say it's probably like 15% of the romance novels I read. So I am just not as immersed. And one of the queer romances I read, they had to fake being straight while really being in love in order to like get an inheritance. Oh. So the fake, right? Like, and I feel like that's a common trope in straight media, right? Like there's an episode of Sex and the City where Stanford is like, Carrie, maybe we should pretend to get married so that I can get whatever.
Interesting.
I love the idea of queer folks like being closeted in a different way and actually falling in love because they're like lying to other people. It's different in a queer context.
There's one also by Alexandria Bellefleur that I really liked. It's about a woman who is inheriting her grandfather's news empire sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the one stipulation that he had is she had to be married. She had to be married no matter what, and like a real marriage. And so she meets this person who works at a bookstore, of course. And this person agrees to be engaged with her and get married. Because it didn't matter, who she married as long as she was married.
So in so many queer romantic films, like so much of the story is about coming out. And I feel like in romance novels, you just get to be more nuanced because it gets to be for a more niche audience. Is coming out not as much a part of it? Do people just get to like be in love and not have it be about coming out to straight people?
Yeah. It's a very small percentage of novels I've read that has to do with coming out. Most of the coming out, there's a lot of coming out, is more so to themselves, I would say.
Interesting.
Or it's like the main characters usually are already queer, that they are out and proud about it. But then it's kind of, the part that's most interesting to me is the way they detect if the person they're interested in is also queer. They're listening for pronouns when they talk about their exes, and then they'll like register that, and the head's like, okay, said she. Okay, so great, we're in the same place. It's like little things like that that would have definitely served me well had I read these when I was much younger, if they existed, instead of the years-long pining that I did instead.
Do you feel like that's part of the fantasy of these books is like no one has to come out. They're already out and everybody already loves them.
Yes, it's so great.
Right?
Also, the other thing that's really great about this is it's the highest percentage of bisexual representation that I've ever seen. Like every character is bisexual. And I love that. It's great. Yeah. It makes me feel like there's hope in the world for a future in which film and television can also be this way.
So I've read, just because I've read 1,000 romance novels by now, easily. Right, like I've probably read about 100, 150 queer romance novels. And I'm trying to think of the ways that they're different. My concern is that I don't necessarily do research on the authors before. And I do think that the queer romance that make it to mainstream and therefore to straight or mostly straight people like me are often written by straight women. And the ones that I've read, I do think for the most part read just like straight romance. But I haven't done a full analysis of like how many of them are written by straight people. And then also I just have a concern that the ones that make it to me are ones that are mainstream on the New York Times bestseller list and therefore palatable to straight audiences.
I guess if we're talking about a straight romance novel and its similarity or how it could be ported over into a queer romance novel, I do think that for the most part, at least the ones that I read, it doesn't necessarily feel like the more masculine of the two women is always the one like making the move. You know, that's what I would assume happens in a male-female relationship. But it's not that, and I like it that way. I like that it frequently, it doesn't matter the presentation of the two women who is more, for lack of a better word, like being the pursuer or anything like that. Whereas when I approach like I love romantic comedies, love Sandra Bullock, you know, but she's almost never the person that does the pursuing. Or like, you know, women try to put themselves into a situation where the guy has to initiate. That's not quite, I feel like, what I read. And I like that. But I also think that a lot of the books that I read are not mainstream. For whatever reason, there's way fewer female queer romance than there are male queer romance. There's way fewer. And so I think I've actually read a lot of self-published stuff, which I love, versus what's in the mainstream.
Do you have a theory as to why that is? I do.
I don't. I am actually quite upset about it. So tell me.
I think it is because for whatever reason, we are okay with straight women writing about male gay relationships, but it would feel like there would be a discourse about like gay baiting if a straight woman wrote a lesbian love story, and being an author costs money at first, and queer people don't make as much money, so straight people have more free time to write. And so that's why. It's because it's straight women writing gay men romance.
That makes a ton of sense. And you're right. We love a discourse. Well, I love a self-published book.
Yeah. How do you feel about straight women writing queer romance? I have a really bad knee-jerk reaction to it. And then I'm like, no, like you can be turned on as a straight woman by the idea of two men fucking. And like, that's great. But I don't like that it's like, that seems like it should be your personal erotica rather than you publishing a romance novel about a gay relationship.
I think that straight women writing queer romance is kind of like, to me, straight actors playing a queer role, where it's not ideal because I would much rather a queer person in that space until we reach some sort of parity, which is not going to happen for a very long time. So that's my preference. But can a straight woman write a really good queer female romance novel? Definitely. I think that that's totally doable. But should they be taking up that space that one of my self-published queer authors could? I don't really, I'd rather my my self-published author take that space. So
yeah,
that's sort of where I stand, I think. One thing that I feel like I should have said at the beginning when we were talking about why I love these romance novels, and I failed to mention because I think I'm just so used to not talking about it, is that they're just hot to begin with.
Yes.
I think it's important to get out there that it's okay to be reading things that are hot and are very true to your own experience, because straight people get to do that all the time.
Yeah. One of my very, very, very best friends is bi and married to a man. Mm-hmm. And she reads a ton of queer romance. And her husband is like, it is the best thing that has happened to our sex life.
That's so true. And I also haven't gotten to the point where it feels, I've always heard that romance novels are like unrealistic, or like it sets unrealistic expectations.
God forbid women be hopeful.
Exactly. I have not felt that at all when I'm reading my novels. So I don't know what people are talking about. The only thing that's unrealistic is all the professions I don't get to do.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Someone treating you well and trying to understand you and it working out. Yes. Okay, so top 3 recommendations. Not top 3, just 3 recommendations. You don't have to say these are your tippity top.
Okay.
You've already said When You Least Expect It.
Yeah, by Haley Cass. I would say anything by Haley Cass, do it.
Anything
also,
by Haley Cass.
She's got a great Patreon that expands on these novels that are to die for. So I highly recommend anything by Haley Cass. My favorite is When You Least Expect It, but On the Same Page and Those Who Wait are also very good.
Great.
Another one I really liked because it changed my perception of tropes I didn't think I would like is Mistakes Were Made by Meryl Wisner, because I didn't think that I would like an age gap romance, because that's never been something that I was ever into myself, but really into it, turns out. Really, I just love that book so much. And then I love a series. I know that I think generally series don't do as well, or something like the following books don't do as well as the original one.
That's not true in straight land.
Oh, in queer land, that's true. The second and third and fourth books don't ever do as well as the first one for some reason. But I love a series. I know.
I do too.
So Ruby Landers has a great series about a country singer that I love. I think it's Grace Notes, I think, is the series. And then the veterinary medicine series, obviously, that I love is Anna Burke. And I think it's called the Seal Cove series. Those are also really good. I think I've gone more than 3. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I love a series.
Yeah, series are great. I want to know more about what happens to all the characters. So
yeah, it's our version of the MCU. I'm like, yes.
Exactly.
Character pop up. Yes. Any final thoughts, comments on this new passion of yours? I'm so happy for you. I feel like you've entered a world with more joy.
I definitely have. Any final thoughts? Well, I'm not really listening to any podcasts anymore, or watching TV, or watching movies. And I don't feel bad about that. It feels great.
Do you do a lot of audio?
I've always got 2 things going at once. I got an audiobook going and a book on my e-reader going. Have
you started crafting? Because like sometimes I'll love an audiobook so much that I will have walked the dog, gone to the gym, done all my chores, and still don't want to stop listening. And I feel weird just like sitting in the dark listening. So I started crafting so that I could keep listening to my romance audiobooks.
I think that's actually a more productive thing to do than what I do, which is I just play a mindless game on my phone.
I now make these really like not very cute stuffed animals. And
I bet you they're cute.
They're not that cute. Kathy, I'll make you one. What's your favorite animal?
Okay, recently my favorite animal is a hedgehog. Can you do a hedgehog?
Yeah, I'll make you a little hedgehog.
Okay, they're so cute. They're so cute.
I'm going to needle you a hedgehog while listening to one of the romance novels that you recommended to me.
Oh, great.
But only if you promise to admit when you get it that it's not that good.
I will make my judgment when that happens.
But you will make an honest judgment. I will make an
honest, yes.
Okay, then
honest
deal.
Judgment.
Kathy, too, thank you so much. Everybody listen to 99% Invisible, but actually, Kathy doesn't care because all she's doing is listening and reading romance.
Yeah, listen to it if you want, but you really should be listening and reading some queer romance novels. Yeah.
You've been listening to Hot and Bothered. Next week, we're starting our mini season on queer love with the movie, but I'm a cheerleader, with our regular co-host, Hannah McGregor. We are a small show, so we need your support to run. And I don't know, guys, I think talking about queer love is more important than ever, so now might be a moment to join us on Patreon at patreon.com/hotandbotheredrompod. If you love the show, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We are a Not Sorry production. We are executive produced by me, Vanessa Zoltan, and the great Ariana Nettleman, and we are edited and produced by Ariana Nettleman. We are distributed by Acast. Thanks, as always, to our soulmate-level patrons, Molly Reilly, who we would chase through an airport to declare our love to, Elizabeth Schweinsberg, whose heart we would play a game of one-on-one basketball for, Lauren Byer O'Connell, who we would call up on stage to dance with us in front of the whole summer camp, Avi Lichtenstein, who we would make every person in the kingdom try on a shoe for, Kristen Hall, who we would travel through a time portal to spend the 19th century with, Shiri Yadlin, who we would write a sonnet about and read it in front of the whole class, Delia Rose, who we are majorly, totally, butt crazy in love with, and Leah Goldberg, who we would carry on our backs as we jump from tree to tree like a little spider monkey. A huge thanks to our beloved friend, Kathy, too. And thanks, of course, to our wonderful team, Julia Argy, Nikki Zoltan, AJ Aramas, Courtney Brown, Anissa Ahmed, Danny Langley, and Stephanie Paulsell.